Scammers will go after pretty much anyone. But a new wave of fraud is taking aim at the folks who literally put food on our tables, our nation's farmers. We're talking about really sophisticated online equipment scams. And today, we're going to break down exactly how they pull it off by following one investigator who decided to call them up and beat them at their own game.
And that's really what makes this whole thing so infuriating. For a farmer, right, finding a good deal on a used tractor online can save them thousands of dollars. That's a huge deal for a family business. But scammers know this, and they're exploiting that need, creating this total minefield of fake websites and phantom deals.
So, think about it. How do you expose a scam that pretty much only exists online? Well, you play along. One investigator went deep undercover, pretending to be a buyer, just to see how far this rabbit hole really goes. He recorded his calls, and what he found was basically a playbook for deception.
All right, so let's dive into our first case. It's a phantom dealership called South Georgia Equipment and Supply. At first glance, their website, the prices, the address they list, it all looks pretty legit. But as you're about to see, things are not what they seem.
And here is where you just have to admire the sheer audacity of the lie. The scammers literally just grabbed a real address for a totally different business, in this case, a liquid handling plant, and just hoped nobody would bother to actually check. So when our investigator called and said he was right there at the address, the scammer, George, didn't even skip a beat. He just said, "Oh, great, go on inside and ask for Mike."
So our guy does the smart thing. He calls the real business at that address, and they confirm, yep, it's a scam, we've already had the cops involved. So he calls George back from a different number to confront him, revealing that he's a local. So what do you think happens when a scammer's entire world just crumbles?
That's it. Just go home. All that fake Southern charm vanished in a second. The moment he knew he was caught, all he had was hostility before he slammed the phone down. And that right there, that reveals their whole strategy. Target people from out of state who can't just pop by for a visit.
Okay, so that last one was kind of simple. This next case, though, it gets way more complex. This scam, calling themselves Blackburn Equipment, doesn't just make up an address, they actually try to steal the good name of a real local company.
So right away, here's the first huge red flag, and it's a classic. Their website claims they've been in business for decades, but a quick little domain search shows the website is brand spanking new, just 22 days old. Decades versus 22 days? Yeah, something doesn't quite add up there.
Now this is where they get really sneaky. See, there's a real well-respected local business called Blackburn Cattle. So the scammers call themselves Blackburn Equipment to sound connected, to sound trustworthy. They're hoping you'll do a quick Google search and see the good reputation of the real company. They even faked Yelp reviews to complete the whole illusion.
Our investigator, he plays along, gets a bill of sale for a big John Deere combine. The scammer, Mike, is pushing hard for that wire transfer. Insisting shipping is included. But what if a buyer actually wanted to drive out and pick it up themselves? What would they find at that address?
Yep, absolutely nothing. A quick look on Google Earth shows their dealership is just an empty field. And the saddest part, when the investigator called the real Blackburn Cattle Company, they told him that people had already shown up looking for equipment they'd already paid for.
So after the scammer blocked his number, our investigator called back from another phone. He pretended he was on his way to pick up the combine, and then he dropped the bomb that he'd just spoken to the real Blackburn family. And just like that, the scammer's confident act completely fell apart.
And that brings us to our third, and by far the most sophisticated case, Ford Dice Equipment. This scam isn't just faking an address or hijacking a name. This is like resurrecting a digital ghost.
Now check out how clever this is. Ford Dice Equipment was a real company. It was around for 38 years, but it shut down about 5 years ago. When their website domain eventually expired, the scammers swooped in and grabbed it. So now, they have a legitimate-sounding company name with a real searchable history online, even though their scam operation is only a few weeks old. It's the perfect cover.
So this time, our investigator decided to fight fire with fire. He cooked up a fake DocuSign email to send to the scammer, but he swapped out the real link for a custom one he made. When the scammer clicked it, that new link was designed to secretly capture his IP address. That's kind of like a unique fingerprint for his internet connection, along with some other location data.
And bingo! It worked. The scammer clicked the link. Now, the IP address showed he was using a VPN to hide his location, making it look like he was in Paris. But the VPN can't hide everything. The real giveaway, the smoking gun, was his computer's internal clock. It was set to the time zone for Sofia, Bulgaria. We found him.
But he wasn't done yet. To really give the scammer a taste of his own medicine, our guy sent a completely fabricated wire transfer receipt, making it look like the money was on its way. He even used the scammer's own account number on the receipt, just reversed, as his own account number. It's so petty, I love it.
And for the next 3 days, this scammer, Max, is just losing his mind. He's waiting, he's calling, getting more and more angry that the money isn't showing up. He finally figured it out. He even called the fake address our guy provided. His final text message really says it all.
So, after walking through all these cases, from the simple to the super sneaky, what have we actually learned? Well, there's a very clear playbook that these scammers are all following. So let's break down the key red flags that you need to watch out for.
First up, always check when the website's domain was registered. A company that claims it's been around for decades shouldn't have a website that's a month old. Second, be your own detective. Use Google Maps, use Street View, and actually look at the address. Is it an empty field? Is it some other business? Third, be suspicious of the photos. Scammers love to steal pictures from legitimate auction sites. And finally, the biggest hell of all, if they are pushing you hard for a wire transfer and making up excuses for why you can't come see it in person, just walk away.
Now, exposing these scams is one thing, but our investigator has another goal in mind, and it brings up a really fascinating idea about how we can all fight back. It's a concept called scam baiting. The idea isn't just to protect yourself, but to actually engage with the scammer. You pretend you're interested, you string them along, and you waste as much of their time as possible so they can't move on to a real victim.
And that is the whole point. Every single hour a scammer spends emailing you, texting you, dealing with your fake wire transfers is an hour they are not spending stealing thousands of dollars from a real family. It's like a form of digital defense where you turn their own tactics right back against them.
From fake addresses to these resurrected ghost companies and hidden IP addresses, these scams are evolving all the time. Knowing their playbook is the first step for sure, but the real question is, as they get more and more sophisticated, are we doing enough to keep up?